Lucky you!
Best 36 holes in golf.
You tuned in to Alternate Shots Podcast,
Marnie's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Marquis, Sandy's,
poker,
Bond, James Bond.
horse racing,
I'm all in.
great movies.
Alfred Hitchcock.
We have no script.
And down the stretch they come.
We're glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Whoop, let's start again. Well, Wingfoot, greatest 36 holes in golf fans. We're back at Wingfoot. Billy, we've been holding up the golf course seemingly since April. We're getting letter after letter.
We're only on the 11th hole, and it's what, 200? How many podcasts have we done? Which was originally, in theory, going to be 36 podcasts, 36 holes, but we're not even close.
No, we'll be lucky to make it to the 16th tee. We're going to have to send in for a couple more carts.
But you're showing a picture of 11 West there on the left. And 11 West, everybody's breathing some kind of sigh of relief or shaking their heads or kicking themselves, depending on what they just did on 10 West, which was they're very happy or very frustrated. And as we talked about, 10 West can go either way. But then you get up on 11, it's like, okay, I can play this hole.
Well, yeah, we went thoroughly into 10 West and talked about the stream that was in between the tee and the green.
Right.
And, you know, the Paulie's house, what did Ben Hogan say? A 3-iron to somebody's bathroom window. That's Paulie's house. And
but it can take you out of your game, that hole, because it, you know, or puts you in it. If you stiff it and make a 2, you're on the 11th tee, you're on cloud 9. But if you do what a lot of people do and play knock hockey with the thing and walk away with a 5 or a 6, you're like, all right, well, I can play this hole. I'll play this hole. I can make it all the way on this hole. So in a way, it's a clean slate.
Yeah, and when you're coming off that 10th green, you're going up to one of the higher parts of the golf course.
Right.
You're going up to the tee, and there's the beautiful home right next to Paulie's, another friend of ours. But in the old days, and I'm saying the old days, back to the 60s and 70s, and even before then, there's a fellow named Walter Kolb. Walter Kolb owned that house, and I think he made a deal with the greenskeeper. When you're finishing cutting 10 West, cut my, so they cut 4, back then they probably cut 4 days a week. So his yard was equivalent
like a fairway,
It was between a fairway and a green. It wasn't quite a 12. It was more like the fairways at Wingfoot. They're like 9s. And it was impeccable. It was beyond Yankee Stadium, perfect backyard. But that's what you have. And you're right. And you're going into New York City to 10 West from the clubhouse to the green. Now you're going kind of west. And a lot of times you're playing into the wind. A lot of time the wind is coming from the west to the east, and so your short hole, you got to punch a driver out there to get into 150 yards into the green.
That's the thing, you know, the hole doesn't look very intimidating, but it's not easy to hit this fairway. And you know, if you go off to the right, short of that bunker is a fairway bunker, 90 yards, 100 yards from the green.
The front of it, it's a very big. It's a very big bunker, that one on the right. It's 25 or 30 yards long. And
there's one, you know, back and left of it on the left side, which is a pretty deep bunker. And you have to have some length to hit that one off the tee. But ideally, you want to be down the left side on this hole. It's a better look at the green, and it takes that bunker out of play. But the right side comes up fast, and if you're too far right, you're up it's bad rough up there. There's trees, there's some rocks, you may well end up in this bunker from over there. If you're in a bad spot, you might have to punch out. So as much more playable as this looks after you've just suffered through 10, when you get out there, you find out, oh my heavens, this is no piece of cake either.
Especially if you're not in the fairway, and the fairway's tight because everything kicks. Yeah, and for guys like us, now I played with some guys that hit the ball routinely well over 300 yards. They take it at this bunker here, and sometimes they hit it right. But being right in the rough down there is no problem these days because
Well, that's
that big
past all the
tree's
trouble.
gone.
Down, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that big
There
tree
used to
that
be,
they kept there that didn't survive, that's
yeah, they
gone.
tried to save it for a long time, but didn't work. But
But the
still, you have it.
pros,
But from over there, you have a difficult angle into this hole, unless the pin's on the far left. If it's tucked in the right or in the back, it's not a great angle over there because the green kind of runs that way. I want to be
yeah,
down
no,
here on the left and coming up to that. There's a bunker short left of the green, which to me is the easiest up and down, sand up and down on of the 36 holes.
yeah, you usually
I
have a
mean,
flat or an uphill
good
line.
players
Yeah,
when we're playing the sheet will hit it in there on purpose.
yeah, they could hole it out from there. And the green's very small. This is one of the smallest greens. And then
Yeah,
once you get
but
past
back to
middle,
front, yeah, it's got some tilt to it back there.
they like to put the pin location or the hole location in the back middle over those bunkers just below the slope. So if you aren't in the middle of the green or in the front of the green, if you're past that, it's problematic in getting your four. You want to leave the pin in. Hopefully you hit the pin and it stops.
Yeah,
But once you come across that back of that green, it's going to go 6, 8, 10, 12 feet by.
yeah, and especially if you go up into the back right corner, then you have a very windy putt.
Well, why would you be in the back right corner? It's because you didn't hit a very big drive. You're 185. You take out your Orlamar, your hybrid, your 5-wood.
And
It
you
gets the
cut it
front of the green and it carries over that bunker and you get the
and runs up.
trampoline to the
Yeah,
back. And it's all
yeah,
great if they put the pin in the back right, which they do often, and you got a 2 or 3 foot putt.
yeah. And what else can you expect from an Orlamar?
But it's a beautiful hole, and the pros will likely hit a 4 iron because although DeChambeau hit it just before the green in that little tongue of the bunker there. The grass was deep, and he gave himself a little chip shot with his
Yeah,
56 degree.
right. He can
Yeah,
hit it far enough that it doesn't matter where he hit it. That once you get that close, a pro's going to get up and down a lot of the time.
Driving hole.
Yeah, it is. It's tight. The fairway slants, and but he's going to use that wind off like a wall. Push it a little.
Another sky ball at 133 feet, apex in the air. And look at that. Almost found to climb up in there.
He's going to land it a little shorter than what he wanted. And he's going to come up just shy of the green.
That's soft. Chambeau for birdie.
I consider using another club all the way.
I think it's the right choice, Raj.
Yes, indeed.
Another one left.
game, two-person game at that point. He made birdie, and I think he also picked up a stroke or so on the 10th hole, and then it was all downhill for DeChambeau.
Right.
But they're going to lay up. They're going to get themselves to that wedge that they prefer. You know,
Yeah,
everybody from Zach Johnson to Steve Stricker. They
yeah.
have that
There's very
100-yard
little.
wedge shot.
There's very little trouble that a guy like DeChambeau, anybody that hits it like that, can get in on that hole. Only this
They're looking.
right-hand bunker.
This is a birdie hole. This is
Yeah,
definitely a birdie hole because you're going to hit it inside of 10 feet with a wedge. And
yeah, and in open conditions, it's a gimme par and probably a birdie.
yeah, I think you and I would make a fair amount of birdies if we're hitting only a wedge into the screen, but that
Yeah,
means we have to.
anything past the left-hand bunker and left of that fairway bunker that we're looking at, those guys are going to stick it to 6 feet or less every time.
There's a cool little pin location way in the back of that green that they've tried on us some days, and maybe they didn't cut the greens much more than a 9, but it's a really cool green. While I was thinking about this, I was going to bring this up the other day, but before we go to 12, living or dead, your brother Neil, if he was here and he wanted to fill out a foursome of anyone he could play with, not as regular guys that he played with at Wingfoot, but just, hey, I'm flying a jet, come, we're going to play 36 holes. I want you to come play with me. Who would be the 3 guys that Neil Regan would play with?
Well, after my parents and his 3 brothers turned him down, I believe he would like to play with Alistair McKenzie, A.W. Tillinghast, and J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay.
or possibly Arthur Conan Doyle.
What about Babe Ruth? Wouldn't he give him consideration?
And he'd
Love for the
probably give Babe
Yankees
Ruth consideration too.
or Mickey
But
Mantle?
yeah, I think he would take Mantle over Ruth because Mantle or Stan Musial. Stan Musial was his favorite player as a kid. I mean, all four of us, the four Regan brothers, all had Mickey Mantle as our favorite player. But how can you argue when you all have the same favorite player? So we decided everybody pick another favorite player. Huey picked Al Kaline, John picked Hank Aaron, I picked Harmon Killebrew, and Neil picked Stan Musial. All of them great players.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice. So that's quite a foursome. I can see the architect
yeah,
idea
because I
there,
think he'd want
Tillinghast.
to talk about. I don't think I think I know he'd have questions for both of them, but I think more so he would probably instigate a conversation between the two of them and just eavesdrop.
Yeah.
Because
He'll
wouldn't you
just
love to
go,
hear Tillinghast talking to Mackenzie?
yeah.
That would be the information, the insight that you could get from a conversation like that would be, Mackenzie always said, or Bobby Jones always said, once you understand what the architect had in mind, you go a long way to lowering your handicap because you understand how you're supposed to play the design that they've set out in front of you. Sometimes that takes time.
All right. So, in case you were wondering, I've changed my background from the lights of Las Vegas to the lights of Wingfoot, high
Yeah.
overhead. Well, we're back at Wingfoot. Billy's brother, Neil, probably could have architected a golf course, I would think. It would,
Well, he wasn't an agronomist, but he did read enough and understand enough about, you know, the different guys' theories. And he was passionate enough that, if all it took was time and understanding, he'd figure it out.
yeah.
But he
Well,
he, he wasn't an architect. But
no, but he would use a reef green and a Biarritz green and things like that, and
yeah,
put
and then it would become a question of taste.
he'd put evil things in your eye,
The
like the
holes
bunk.
would all make sense, like they do with a Tillinghast course or a Mackenzie course, but they'd be built with interest to create interest for the players. And the greens, I think, would be the fun part.
So we're going to a great green on the 12th green. Before we get to the green, you've got perhaps one of the longest holes.
You've got double trouble on 12 because your tee shot has to be right. But if it's too far right, there's a bunker out there. If it's too far left, you can still play the hole, but you can't see your second shot. You have to draw something around or sort of hit it out to the right, short of the bunkers. So ideally, you want to be long down the right side so you can see everything. You might still lay up in front of the bunkers, but if you have a look, you might want to try and carry the bunkers. You don't have that option if you're too far left.
Yeah, the good players that can hit it out there would like to be between the mound and the fairway and that little fairway slot on the right. Now you can
Right.
see the whole thing.
Is that one right?
Oh, hello. Oh, now there's a nice little break. Man, he swung himself off his feet.
Land short of the big ridge. It's going to swing it left. He's going to cross it. It's just going to go like crazy.
That's not what we were looking for.
He just had a bad lead. Oh, now it's making a U-turn.
Well,
That's literally all it had.
advantage. Yeah, a defensive effort, that's for sure. Not bad. The 12th, but no blood.
Yeah, you can see
Right.
what you're hitting at. That's the shot I described when we watched Nicklaus in preparation for the 1974 Open. He put a 1-iron down in about that area in the fairway. I think it was about 245, 250 yards, and it was the most beautiful shot. you
Yeah,
can imagine with a club that looked like about that big,
yeah.
it was tiny, less than a business
You
card.
remember what Lee Trevino said, not even God can hit a one iron
Yeah, I
in a
heard him
lightning
talk.
storm. Yeah.
I heard him talking the other day. Mike Breed had him on, and Mike Breed's goal every time he talks to Lee Trevino, and he talks to him quite frequently, is to get a new story out of him.
Yeah.
And
And Lee's got a lot of them, right?
well, he was talking about the Olympics, and Lee was talking about this crop of good players, and he said Schauffele, he said, is the one that's working hardest right now. He said he's really, really, really working hard. It's all business. It's hard to say Scheffler's not working hard, or
He just doesn't look like
Rory.
he's working hard. Shoffley definitely looks like he's got his, nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, he's taking the approach of a Hogan, and his putting game has gotten 2 times as good as it was a year
Yeah,
and a half,
he
two
did
years
not
ago.
drift backwards, which I'm impressed with, because coming into this year he was close so many times and then kind of couldn't close the deal. Now he's starting to close the deal. He didn't go the wrong way. He corrected that. So, and the more and more he closes the deal, the more and more he'll close the deal. So,
It'll be interesting to see
sounds
how
like
they
Yogi
play.
Berra.
Yeah, be interesting to see how they play Winged Foot, especially the 12th hole. On the right of your picture is about 80 yards from the green, but you don't get to see that green on your first shot if you don't hit it in the right place. And if you hit it left rough or right rough, some of the toughest rough at Winged Foot is there. So you might
Yeah.
have to hit a 9 iron down in front of the bunkers that are about 150 yards from the green. They're not shown in this picture.
Yeah. But you're not even thinking about the green for your first almost 3 shots. You're just trying to survive the drive and the layup, or the drive and the carry. You'll get to the green when you get to it. Unlike some of the other holes where you're thinking you have to be this way for the green or that way for the green, you're just trying to get your ball someplace where you can get on in regulation, and that's going to be 2 accurate shots, 3 accurate shots if you lay up.
Well, it's going to be, especially if they go all the way back, which is now 630. But if they put you way back, now let's say 635 or 636, and let's say they put the pin location in the back of the green, you have to add another 10 yards there. It's close to a 650-yard hole. And hitting a third shot from 150 yards to the back green, there's that swale right across, back right, back middle, or back left. I don't know what's easier, what's harder. The back right seems to be awfully hard.
I think I was thinking about this earlier. The back left, to me, that's still up on the ledge, but it's 12 feet, 14 feet from the left side of the green. That's very hard to get at no matter where you are.
Yeah, we saw. I was playing with some young guys, my son and my friend's son-in-law, and they bombed it. Now we were playing white tees that day, so one of them hit an 8 iron into the green, but missed it left. And the pin location, the whole location, was where you described it, in the back, above the swale, in the left. And the
Yeah.
other fellow hit a 7 iron in there on their second shots. They just bombed the drives and hit
Wow.
it over the mound and got the trampoline of the mound. So they weren't more than 180 yards to the green. But they missed it left, and they both had trouble. They both made 5, but it was hard making 5 from that left bunker.
Yeah, because you got to keep it up there, and then if you go too far, it's going to take a right and it's going to roll all the way down.
One of them had a
Remember,
downhill lie in the bunker, and so that's terror. You're just trying to get it onto the green. So he hit it across the green into the back right location, and then had to come down and make a 10-footer for 5.
Yeah, back right, putting from the back right to the pin we're talking about. That's no picnic. There's so many
No.
ways you can go too far. You're going to go. It'll zoom past to the edge of the green or go down.
And then you get in this front bunker. It's a little like 12 East. We're going to talk about that some year in the future if we get to it. But this bunker here, if you should catch the beginning of it, and if you hit a dying quail iron shot for your third shot, or your 3-wood goes in there, now you've got a 50, 60-yard wedge shot, which, again, Trevino talking to Mike Breed on the Golf Channel radio this week, He said even the pros, they fear that the shot that Bryson DeChambeau had on the
Yeah, yeah,
72nd hole,
exactly.
that 50-yard bunker shot, they fear.
Yeah, because look at all, there's so many things you can do. You have to get that, you have to make contact exactly as you plan. Because if you cheat on it a little bit, you're going to hit it fat, you're done. Or if you don't, you could hit a 50 yards over the green. If you catch it thin, yeah. At
One of
least a
the,
greenside bunker, there are some mistakes you can make and still get it on the green. There's not
yeah,
really any mistake you can make from a 50-yard bunker shot.
all of these bunkers here on the green, you'd prefer to be up against them because you'll have an uphill lie. It won't be downhill. It's a little shorter shot. The right bunker, the back right bunker, the two bunkers on the left, you have a chance there. You blast it out and make your 6-footer. The fun
Yeah,
part about this green is if you're not too far from this picture, say 100 yards away on your second shot, guys like us, and you've got that wedge, this is one of the times where we can spin a wedge. And if the
yeah,
pin is, this pin here in this picture is in the front, in the middle left before the
yeah.
swale. So you can actually hit it to the back of the green or into the swale and
And come
gravity
back down.
or your spin. And you
Right.
can see it and you can see it. Any scratch golfer, Wingfoot's doing that all the time, but we get the chance to spin it on this hole.
Yeah. But there's a little pressure on that shot too, because now you have no excuses. It's not like you're in the rough, you got stuck in the bunker and all the bad luck. Oh, poor me. You're in the middle of the fairway with 105 yards or whatever it is. So there's pressure on you to not make a mistake. The pros don't make those mistakes, but if you're playing and the hole's been doubled and redoubled and you're trying to keep your Hogan alive, you do not want to skull that shot.
This is also an interesting picture because if you do come to the Open in 2028 or come to the Anderson or watch a tournament, this is a good area because behind 12, you've got the 16th West Green. Just behind the green, you can see guys hitting their 200 or 250-yard shots
On the
into
set
it.
and
And
17T.
you can watch them tee off on 17, and you can watch the 13th and the 14th hole. So there's a lot of action here
Yeah.
where you can just turn one way or another and see it. Now it depends on where they put the bleachers and whatever. But if you get lucky and come to the Open, this is not a bad area. There might be a
That's
hot
where I
dog
was
stand
for
around here too.
first day of the Anderson, me and Clowie. That's where we
Right up on the
hung out
top
for a
right.
while.
Yeah.
Right by behind the 12th green.
Yeah, again, that also happens to be one of the higher points of the golf course, and you can see
Up
that
on the 17th tee.
you can see that devilish 13th East that we
What
played
is the
the other
highest
day.
point on the golf course? Seven East?
16 East Green.
Pinnacle, the third East green, right?
I don't know about that. I
Or,
think
sorry,
it's a
excuse me,
six,
third West green.
might be, but they say 16 East Green is maybe the highest. Where there's no trees, you can see the Long Island Sound. You can
Right.
see the buildings. I don't know if you see the buildings in New Rochelle or you see the
I
buildings in
can
New
see
York
anybody
City.
else from here.
But it's a real modern hole. I do remember in 2006. Look, if there was anything that Tiger would have liked over again, assuming he wanted to make the cut, which is obvious, he wanted to make the cut. He didn't make the cut in 2006. He made 6 on this hole twice. One from the forward tees, playing about 560, and one from 630. So
And he drove it into the, I mean, he killed one of those drives one day, right into the crosswalk.
yeah, this one, well, this and Poana greens. He's not a big fan of Poana greens. I've heard. So
These greens, I can't say it enough. They're fantastic. Not only in design, the condition. I played today. Greens are they're fabulous.
well, so you played 10. You got a birdie. You hit it 3 feet with your wedge on 11. You made a birdie. You got the front edge of the green in 2 with your Olimar, and you putted it up to the back left about 4 feet, and you sunk it. So you made par on 10, 3 on 11, and 4 on 12. And you're thinking, I got this, right? We haven't talked about 13 West yet. Tighten up your
13 West.
socks. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about that one.
13 West is the only good thing about 13 West is 12 West has consumed all of you for the entirety of its hole. So you're not even thinking about 13 until you actually get there. Unlike, you might be thinking about 10 while you're playing 9 or some
Unless
holes
you
like that.
unless you hit a big hook and you have to play your second shot over 13 West toward the
Yeah.
13 West tee.
Then you're
You
looking
don't
at
even see it. You don't
your
even
tee
see
shot,
it.
you see the green up there. Yeah, you're like,
Guys,
oh God, I might be up there. I might be here in a few more minutes.
guys are in front of you because usually you're playing, there's a group on every hole on a Saturday. It's not like you're waiting. But until
Right.
you come up to the middle of the fairway, 300 yards off the tee, you don't see those guys, and you won't see them unless they're on the green. If they're on the tee or they're coming up to the green, so you don't see it. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're all consumed. You're
It
consumed
needs,
with.
12 needs every bit of your attention. A lot of
Yeah.
times you have the opportunity on 12 to look up to kind of see where the pin is on 13 if you want to take the time. No one ever does that. There are places where you do notice where the pin is. For instance, I always see on 7 where it is on 17 East. I always look when
Right.
when I'm going up 12. I want to see what's coming up.
Same here. You can see what's on 16 West. It doesn't hurt you. You just
Right.
look over. You
Right.
can even
But
see the pin on 14 West
Yeah.
from the back of 13 West tee.
But the thought doesn't even cross your mind on 12. You're so busy, wrestling with 12, the snake that it is, that, 13
and the
is
tree.
for later.
And the trees, everybody was up in arms. How many years ago was that? 15 or 20 years ago when we hacked a
Everybody
lot of
loves
trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Who
look at
doesn't
all
love
these
trees?
trees. Look at all these trees.
Yeah.
And we got rid of a lot of trees. There's never a number. Who knows? It doesn't matter to me.
I've never brought somebody there who said, this place is great, but if it had 1,500 more trees, it would be even better.
No, the trees are perfect. You got new vistas. Even looking at 12. You can see 12 East on the right. You can see
And
the
the grass
beginnings of
grows.
13. Exactly. But for the eye, which I think is what Tillinghast wanted you to do, and enjoy yourself out there. As our friend, the architect, Tillinghast expert, said, just because it's hard doesn't mean it can't be enjoyable. And these are 2 enjoyable holes. Well,
Very
Billy,
enjoyable.
parting thoughts on this. You're 2 under par in the back 9. I don't know what you had in the front 9. It's so long ago, I can't remember. I don't have the card. I'd have to make it up from memory. But I got you 2 under par, birdie, playing 13.
Who am I playing with?
Oh, you're playing with the usual suspects, Chipper and Clowie.
Then I'm rolling in dough, because if I'm 2 under par back here, I have doubled and redoubled and
the back's already doubled.
the back's already doubled in the Nassau. So yeah, now all I'm thinking is survive 13.
It's bad because it should be short of the hole, which is where you want to be.
It's at the left side of the green.
That's really
Oh my gosh.
Par 14, and then get to my favorite hole in all of golf, 15 West, which we'll leave for later.
But
And then
we should ask though, and there's a lot of good people that write comments on the YouTube area where you can make comments. Tell us your stories about 11 West or your story about 12 West. There's got to be lots of them. Billy and I have our own stories, but we love hearing, and we'll bring it up when we do 13. If there's a good story, we'll attribute it to you, just Jesse B or whoever you are. Just put the story there. Somebody chipped in on you and you had a 10-footer for birdie and you lost the hole.
Yeah, well, you had to make an emergency stop in the bathroom before you came out for your birdie putt.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. Where are you going? Never mind.
Never mind.
I'll be back
But
in a minute.
anyway, this is great. We will try to get to 13 West before. Well, we had a busy summer. What were we doing over the summer? We talked about that. We talked about that in the prior episode. If you didn't hear us, go back. Yeah.
And we have to touch on some other great directors. We hit on on 6 or 8 of the really good ones, but there's another pile of them out there.
What about the new guys? What about Guy Ritchie and the Coen brothers? Maybe we should talk about those. Is there any kind of contrast and overlays with those two directors? Well, the
They're
Coen
diff
brothers
they're
are.
different. The Coen brothers, they oftentimes write their own stuff and direct and produce. Uh, but they have a completely different style than Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie and Trenton Tarantino, everybody knows Trenton Tarantino's got, a sort of a shock approach to everything. He's not afraid to show you the underbelly of anything. And it makes the movies interesting. Guy Ritchie has a great storytelling approach. The way he presents the story is unique and extraordinarily entertaining, and it intrigues you the whole way. And the Coen brothers are esoteric in a way. They don't hit you over the head with stuff, but the characters that are in their movies are great. The plots are different plots than, an ordinary movie. So yeah, the stories are very interesting. So those three, there's some others out there now too that are probably interesting, harder to know about because they're new. You learn about classic stuff when it becomes classic. But the Coen brothers and Tarantino and Guy Ritchie, they've got to be around 20, 25 years now. So they're getting there.
No Country for Old Men. I love watching movies multiple times. Can't watch that one again.
What other story have you ever seen like that?
No.
That's what I mean. And especially
Yeah.
the way it ends.
Well, you pointed out in the prior episode that the three major characters are never seen. Their
They're
faces
never
are
in the
never
same
seen.
scene. Yeah.
They're in the scene, but you don't see the faces. In the shootout at the end, they're
The
in that
shootout,
scene.
right. But
But you're lucky if
they
you see
never
their
interact.
ankles.
Yeah.
No.
They never converse.
Who was that? Was that the Coen brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It's not so avant-garde that you don't
And
like
there's
it.
no
It's
music. The only music in the movie is when he wakes up in Mexico wounded, and there's like a band, a Mexican band playing on the sidewalk. That's the only music. And there's no music soundtrack in that movie, too. So that's what I mean by the Coen brothers. They do stuff like that, but they don't hit you over the head with it. It's
like
just you come to realize
Hitchcock.
it. Yeah,
Hitchcock would never put music if the actor portrayed what he wanted, or if
right,
the actor wasn't going to portray, he would put something in the background or a view of Mount Rushmore that you couldn't act.
right.
He used the minimal to tell his story, but he never confused the audience, and I don't think Quentin
That's the
Tarantino.
job of the director. Tarantino does. I don't think they confuse you. Once you have faith in their storytelling ability, you'll realize, especially with Guy Ritchie, all your questions are going to be answered. It's not like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where Stanley Kubrick had you like, what's going on here? That's
Well,
not true with Guy Ritchie. Your questions will be answered.
I have a homework assignment for everybody that hasn't seen the movie. Alfred Hitchcock, The Trouble with Harry. Go see The Trouble with Harry. It'll lighten your day. And the colors, like you said, Billy, there's no better colors in a movie that's old.
No,
That old.
and that's Hitchcock not hitting you over the head, but it's like a great golf course design. You love the course, but you don't know why. But the artist knows you're going to love it because that's the way they painted it. Hitchcock knows you're going to love these colors blasting out at you, but he doesn't make them the plot. He doesn't like zoom into a bush and show you the beautiful colors. They're just there while all this other stuff is going on with his characters. It's a small detail, but it's a real live one because, getting hit over the head by a director sort of is he's telling you he doesn't appreciate his audience or, he underestimates them. These guys, Hitchcock, the Coen brothers, Tarantino, these guys know their audience is smart enough, or they respect their audience is smart enough to keep up with the offhanded way they're telling a story.
And it would be cliche for John Forsythe to take a lot of money from the millionaire for all those pictures, but even Hitchcock threw you a zinger there. And I won't spoil that, but that's a good part of the movie.
Absolutely, one of the characters.
Shirley MacLaine is still kicking. As an ode to her, watch her perform in that movie.
That's her
Beaver is still kicking. That's her
first
first
movie.
movie. Was she about
And
18 or
it
19?
might have been Jerry Mather's first movie, The Beaver,
Yep.
who was hilarious in that. The Trouble with Harry is special.
Yeah. Mildred Natwick and
Yeah.
what was Santa? Edmund Gwynn.
Edmund Glenn, yeah.
Edmund Gwynn's romance.
Such a great character in
If
there.
they
He's
can
like,
have a romance, anybody can have a romance.
yeah. Well, that was another great thing. They weren't hitting you over the head with the romance. It was like, of course those two fit together, and of course those two fit together. Everything fits. The good thing is that the only thing that could have spoiled it for all of them was Harry, but he was dead, and somebody did that for them. They
And
all
she
thought
didn't.
they did it, but yeah.
She didn't woo him with the Moet Chandon. She wooed him with those local blueberry muffins.
High bush blueberry muffins, yeah.
High bush blueberry muffins put Edmund Gwynn into, a tizzy such that he
Not
got
him, not
romantic.
only him. I want to reach into the screen and take them too. And Jerry Mathers trades a dead rabbit for one or two of them, right?
No, he got two. He said, "This rabbit is two muffins." Hey, this is great. All right. Good luck at the ponies. We'll see you soon. This has been awesome. Get out
Thanks,
there and
man.
play 11 and 12 West and make your birdies there because there aren't too many birdie holes.
Why are you laughing?
Well, at least we have the laugh to add at the end. That's what happened. Somebody changed my grip, and the next thing you know, I can't do the podcast anymore. I felt like I was in the first row of the first pew at church right during the sermon.
And your brother was poking you.
My brother was making me laugh.